Imagine selling the Eiffel Tower. Not a picture, not a miniature model, the actual towering iron structure. It seems impossible, truly. But one man did it, twice. This is his story. This was no ordinary crime. It was a con, a masterpiece of deception. The man was Victor Lustig. He understood people, their greed, their ambition. He didn't use a crowbar. His tools were charm, confidence, cool as a cucumber. He sold more than scrap metal. He sold a dream. Victor Lustig wasn't born into money. He hailed from Bohemia, then Austria-Hungary. Around 1890, the records say. He was sharp, quick-witted, a keen observer of the world. He learned languages easily. French, English, German, Italian. This opened many doors for him, doors to the pockets of others. He was a natural actor. His early career was on the high seas. Transatlantic ocean liners, full of wealthy travelers. Lustig provided it. With card games that always favored him, with small, clever scams. He learned to spot a mark, to gain their trust. He built a reputation, ready for the next big play. One of his favorite tricks was the money box scam. He'd convince wealthy passengers he had a machine that could print perfect counterfeit bills. He'd demonstrate it, and it would work flawlessly, because he had preloaded it with real money. By the time they realized they'd been duped, Lustig was long gone. He'd move on to the next ship, the next mark, always staying one step ahead. Paris in the 1920s. What a time to be alive. The war was over, the city was electric, full of art, music, and new ideas. Jazz clubs pulsed with life, cafes buzzed with conversation, fortunes were being made, and lost just as quickly. Fashion shows dazzled with the latest trends. The Charleston was danced with wild abandon. Writers and poets filled the cafes while artists painted in Montmartre, a perfect playground for a man like Lustig. The Eiffel Tower stood tall, a marvel of engineering, but it was never meant to be permanent. Built for the 1889 World's Fair, its lease was running out. Maintenance was incredibly expensive. Debate filled the newspapers. The idea began to form. Section 4, the first grand deception, how Lustig sold the Iron Lady. Lustig needed an official front. He became Monsieur Victor Lustig, Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, a plausible if slightly vague title. He had official-looking stationery printed, forged credentials of course. He looked the part, dressed impeccably, spoke with calm authority. He was utterly convincing. He sent out letters to 5 of the biggest scrap metal dealers in Paris, an invitation to a secret meeting, Hôtel de Crillon, very exclusive. The letters hinted at a confidential government contract. The dealers were intrigued. They arrived, eager and curious. Lustig laid out his story. The Eiffel Tower was to be dismantled, quietly, to avoid public outcry. One dealer stood out to Lustig, André Poisson. Lustig sensed his ambition. The hook was set. Lustig meticulously prepared for the scam. He studied the scrap metal market and identified the key players. He forged documents with intricate details, ensuring they looked authentic. He rehearsed his pitch, perfecting every nuance to sound convincing. His interactions with the dealers were calculated, building trust and curiosity. Lustig handed over the forged documents, sealing the deal with his charm and confidence. Section 5, the unbelievable encore. Selling the tower again. André Poisson paid a handsome sum for the scrap rights, plus the hefty bribe. He waited for the official word. For his crews to start work. Days turned into weeks. Nothing. The Eiffel Tower still stood, majestic, untouched. Poisson realized he'd been had. He was utterly humiliated, too ashamed to go to the police. Lustig, meanwhile, was living it up. He took the train to Vienna, cash in his suitcase. He enjoyed the good life, traveling across Europe, but even a con man's fortune can dwindle. He needed another score. The audacity was breathtaking. Lustig meticulously planned his next move. He knew the Eiffel Tower was still the perfect target. He returned to Paris ready to pull off the same scam, again. Section 6, across the pond and behind bars. Lustig's final act, an enduring legend. Lustig decided America was the place to be, the land of opportunity. The Roaring Twenties were in full swing there too. Prohibition, gangsters, easy money. He felt right at home. He continued his life of crime, his charm and intelligence still his best tools. He ran numerous scams across the states, always aiming for the wealthy, always looking for an angle. He famously targeted Al Capone, the Chicago gangster. Lustig convinced Capone to invest $50,000 in a scheme, then kept the money in a safe deposit box for 2 months. He returned it to Capone, saying the deal fell through. Capone, impressed by his honesty, gave him $5,000. That was Lustig's real aim all along. He even sold a money printing box to a Texas sheriff. Section 7. The Art of the Con. Lustig's Psychological Mastery. Victor Lustig was more than just a charming rogue, he was a master psychologist. He understood human nature to its core. His schemes were not just about trickery but about understanding and manipulating people's deepest desires and fears. One of his key techniques was the big store setup. He'd create an elaborate environment complete with actors, props, and even fake businesses to make his cons seem legitimate. This technique played on the victim's sense of security and trust. Another trick up his sleeve was the confidence game. Lustig knew that people wanted to believe in easy money and quick success. He'd build a rapport, making his victims feel special and chosen. He'd flatter them, share secrets, and create a sense of exclusivity. This bond of trust was crucial. He'd often use the rope-a-dope strategy, where small, seemingly innocent requests led to bigger, riskier investments. He'd start with a small con, something the victim could easily afford to lose. Once they were hooked, he'd reel them in for bigger scores. Lustig also had a keen sense of timing. He knew when to push and when to pull back. He'd often create artificial urgency, making his victims feel they had to act quickly or miss out on a golden opportunity. This pressure made people act impulsively, overriding their better judgment. Lustig's psychological prowess was his greatest weapon. He played on greed, fear, trust, and urgency, weaving them into a web that ensnared even the most cautious of individuals. Victor Lustig's legacy is not just in the scams he pulled off, but in the psychological mastery he employed. He understood that the greatest cons are not about the money stolen but the minds manipulated. His techniques remain a study in the art of deception, a testament to the brilliance and darkness of human nature. And thus, the legend of Victor Lustig, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower, lives on, a reminder of the thin line between genius and criminality. Victor Lustig's influence extends far beyond his lifetime. His audacious scams have become blueprints for modern con artists. The techniques he perfected are still in use today, albeit with a contemporary twist. Lustig's understanding of human psychology laid the groundwork for many of today's most sophisticated scams. His big store setup has evolved into elaborate online schemes where entire fake websites, complete with customer reviews and professional graphics, lure in unsuspecting victims. These modern cons create a sense of legitimacy and security, just as Lustig did with his physical setups. The confidence game has found new life in social engineering tactics. Scammers build rapport through social media, dating apps, and email, making their targets feel special and chosen. They exploit the same desires for quick success and easy money that Lustig capitalized on. By fostering a sense of exclusivity and trust, they make their victims more susceptible to manipulation. The rope-a-dope strategy is now a common feature in phishing scams. Fraudsters start with small, seemingly harmless requests, like clicking a link or providing basic information. Once they've established trust, they escalate to more significant demands, such as transferring money or revealing sensitive data. Lustig's sense of timing and urgency is mirrored in the tactics of modern scammers who create artificial deadlines and limited-time offers. These pressures make people act impulsively, overriding their better judgment and leading them to make hasty decisions. Victor Lustig's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of psychological manipulation. His techniques have been adapted for the digital age, proving that the core principles of the con remain unchanged. As long as there are people with desires and fears, there will be those who seek to exploit them. The story of Victor Lustig serves as both a warning and a lesson. It reminds us to be vigilant and skeptical, to question what seems too good to be true, and to understand that the greatest cons are not about the money stolen, but the minds manipulated. His enduring legend continues to influence the world of deception, a stark reminder of the thin line between genius and criminality.